what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the newest season, the spring season, episode 1 of FlagPlus Football's First and Goal podcast. I'm your host, Brent Bodkin. Unfortunately, today, my usual partner, Kwesi, is not here. He has some other football activities to attend to, but he'll be back next week for sure. We have the main man, Ali Reza, as your producer once again. So thank Ali Reza for all the stuff that he does. We're going to have a special guest in just a moment. But again, before I want to kick things off, just want to say welcome back to everybody. We have some returning teams from the winter season, some new teams coming in for the spring season. In my opinion, I think this is the most important or the most fun season. Snow's gone for the most part. I mean, it's not that warm outside. The weather's like kind of stuck between early spring, late winter. But again, the snow's gone. I'm happy. There's a lot of green outside, so we can play some ball outside. It's always nice to see. A couple of new things this year, obviously. We have Division F for men's 6v6. We also have Co-Ed 4 as well. So a couple new divisions. Pretty much that's the case every season. Every new season it rolls around. We get some new players. We get some extra divisions. It's always fun in FPF. We're going to get to those new divisions a little later in the podcast. So like I said, we have a special guest joining us for the first time here on the First and Goal podcast. He's a solid dude, a guy. He can play quarterback. He can play rusher, receiver, defensive back. Anywhere on the field, you put this man, he'll make a play for you. I'm talking about none other than Alex Szalipszki. Alex, welcome to the show, sir.
Thanks for inviting me, Brent. Happy to be here.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. So let's start off, man. You're a veteran in the league, right? Your first season was spring 2022. You've kind of your stock has shot up like a rocket pretty much every season, right? You're making an all-star for sure, or you're at least in the championship game or the semifinals, to say the least. Like I said, you could play any position on the field. You're going to make an impact. Again, like I said, spring 2022 was your first year in FPF. How has the experience been for you so far?
So far, I love it. It's very competitive. It has helped me to grow as a player, as a person. It helped me a lot to grow. And, it's fun to play, against other people that are very good and actually learn from how they play to try to add it to my style.
Okay. So currently right now, we were talking before we went to air. So the website says you're playing in about 5 teams, but you corrected me. You're only playing on 3 right now. You got the bench warmers in Co-Ed 2. You have Ice Pack in Division B, and you have Mismatch in Co-Ed 1. I've kept a ton of your games over the years. You played against some of my teams. I played against some of your teams as well. What's your favorite position to play on the field?
Honestly, I think quarterback's growing on me. I used to love playing receiver. I think quarterback's growing on me very, very much.
Okay. I mean, that seems to be the case. Like I looked at your stats right before you came on, and you have nearly 500 touchdown passes. You have nearly 200 as a receiver. You have about 75 rushing TDs. You're almost at the 8,000 yard mark in terms of rushing, right? And that's just the offense. Defense, everybody at home, listen to this. Alex has 72 INTs, 10 defensive touchdowns, and over 70 sacks. So like I said, impact player, and you're on the field, but you're saying obviously quarterback is your favorite position. What pushed you into playing quarterback?
Honestly, it was I made a team. We made a team from MFL and just came in, and we needed a quarterback. I was like, hey, I'm going to try it. Ended up liking it, kept going, and I love it.
Okay, nice. What advice would you give? So, I mean, there's a lot of people in this league, right? Male and female. And some people think, I could throw a ball. Like they throw a ball with their friends outside, or even before games during warm-ups, they throw some passes. And some people maybe in the back of their mind, if they figure, hey, maybe I can do this playing quarterback, but they might be a little shy, or they might be on a team that is like, nah, are you crazy? Stick to receivers, stick to defense or snapping, whatever. What advice would you give to those young quarterbacks out there, or young would-be quarterbacks out there who want to take the position?
Honestly, just keep practicing, keep working, make a team that's in the low division. Doesn't matter if you get blown out the first year, or the second season. It doesn't matter. You just learn every season, and every season you get better, and you start growing as a quarterback, and then you go higher every time. Then people start forgetting that you're actually a good receiver, that you're actually a quarterback, and then it switches the narrative.
Yeah, so that's actually a good point. I was going to ask you because I remember seeing you play quarterback the first year or so, and you would run a lot, right? Obviously, and that's the case. I mean, with wheels that you have, running makes a lot of sense. But obviously, in the higher divisions, right, it's harder to run, right? The rushes are better. Sometimes, obviously, when you play co-ed one or even the 5v5, right, you can't always run every single play. How important was it for you to really develop your arm as a quarterback as well, and to be known as just a good quarterback, not a running quarterback?
Honestly, it was hard, but like when I came up in Division Quad One, that's when I started having problems, and that's why I forced myself to try to make better throws, to make tight throws, to try to release faster, not to just use my legs. Like I know I'm having like a lot of trouble right now in Quad One since everybody knows me, and they're all like very very good rushing on me, so it's kind of hard for me to get separated of them, but. I think just forcing yourself to throw more often than actually trying to run.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Nice. It's kind of that like Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen kind of thing where they could run a lot, but now they become great pocket passers as well. Um, Speaking of football, right? Obviously, do you have a team in tackle? Or do you follow tackle, or you're just strictly flag?
No, no, I just strictly flag now. I used to
Okay.
play tackle, but not anymore.
Oh, where did you play?
I played in Drummondville,
Okay.
Cégep de Drummondville back in like 2021, right before coming to FPF.
Okay. Nice. Okay. Okay. And are you able to rely maybe on some of your tackle game to help you on the flag field?
Honestly, just defense. Offense, like I was always a defensive player, so I was just able to bring the defense to flag, but the rest, like I learned from players teaching me and players like I played with or against with.
Okay. And like, who are you talking about some of the players that you learn from and play against like when you're on the field, right? Again, like I said, you play a lot of different positions. Who are some of the players that you look up to, and some of the players that have helped you grow as a player over your last couple of years here in FPF?
Well, of course, I have to give a shout out to Manu. He's a big part of why I ended up in FPF and why I ended up learning in that how to actually play and actually how like to get better. Then there's also James Drysdale that helped me a lot last season, 2 seasons ago as quarterback, teaching me different coverage, teaching me different releases, teaching me a bunch of different defenses, different schemes. So there's a lot of that, and then of course there's Emile Chateau, a
Chateauvet.
small one from yeah. Then from
Yeah.
him, I played like one or twice in All Star against him, and those couple of times, like every time I was like, yo, I have to try to dip him. I have to try to dip him. Yo, he's incredible. He just goes all the way to the floor. I'm like, I have to try it. And since then, like every time I see him play, I just like to learn how does he do it, which different move did he add on, how does he always get free for some reason.
Okay. Okay. I said earlier, right? Obviously, you made All Star pretty much every season that you've played. You won some championships too, right? So obviously, you've reached the mountaintop here in different divisions in FPF. What other goals do you have for yourself as a player?
Honestly, as a player, I just trying to get better. Honestly, to be honest with you, I'm just trying to get better to get, let's say, in a higher division. Like I've been playing a lot of co-ed as a quarterback, and this season is the first time I tried men's division to see how I'm able to compete as a quarterback and see if I'm able to get better, if I need to get better in a certain way. In a way,
Okay.
in a way, I would like to play against Kevin White at some point, but I know like I'm gonna get screwed again. Like he's gonna beat me. Played against him in co-ed one, did not go well. I think he just demolished us.
Yeah, that's usually the case. The first couple of times you play Kevin Wyeth, it's not going to end up too well for the people he goes against. But it's a good learning experience, right? To learn from the GOAT himself, Kevin Wyeth. I wanted to ask you, so away from football, so like so something I like to ask a lot of the people to come on. What do you do when you're not on the football field?
Honestly, sometimes I go play soccer. Depending on the winter, I do snowboarding. Other than that, that's pretty much it. I believe so.
Okay, okay, okay. Uh, and again, outside of football, obviously you have a new addition coming soon to the family. I know you told me a few minutes ago. If I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so next season I'll be playing less because me and Sarev are gonna have a daughter, which is she's due August 21st, which I'm so happy. I can't wait. But yeah, thank you.
Nice. Have you guys put the name yet, or are you waiting?
We're still debating a couple names, but yeah. The problem is because we want English and French, or in English that
Okay.
says well, and a French name which works also well. But we'll see.
Okay. I'm gonna put my money on your girl winning that argument. I mean, usually when it comes to that, usually the ladies win. I think.
I put $100 on her. Look, that's all I'm saying.
Nice, nice, nice. All right, man. So like I said, this season, man, you're playing on three teams. Again, bench warmers, ice pack, and the mismatch. Obviously, winning the championship, I imagine, is going to be the goal. But what are the goals you have just as a team, and how do you think you guys can build? Obviously, it's early in the season, right? What are some of the things you think you guys need to maybe work on to get to where you want to go?
Honestly, in Division Two, which is Ice Pack, I believe like just to get some chemistry going, get to learn each other. It's the first time we actually played with each other. Actually, to like a couple guys that I played with, or I played receiver with, or I played against, that I just made a team with them, and to see like can we compete. And then Kuwait 2 is like more of a fun team, to be honest. Just have some fun, to learn, to teach whoever I'm on the team with, try to help people to get better. And then Kuwait 1, I believe, just to compete, honestly. Just to compete and to learn how we each play, even though we played last season together. We're still on our chemistry.
Okay. Just looking at so your roster right now. So I'm just trying to wait for this page to pop up here. My apologies.
All
Uh,
good.
so one thing actually, let me ask you before. So a lot of guys, especially I find in co-ed, a lot of guys are usually former players from the men's, right? The 6v6 divisions and some of the 5v5s as well, right? Usually though, it's guys who were choosing to play co-ed later on, right? You're doing the opposite where you said earlier, you started playing co-ed and then now you're switching to challenge yourself a bit more by playing with the guys. For you, if you could talk about like what is the co-ed in FPF? How has the co-ed experience been for you so far in these first couple of seasons?
Honestly, it's been good. I think it's been very good. The thing is that, like, let's say in different teams, like, let's say back when I started in Quad 2, the girls were not getting used a lot. So the way to bring, like, always throwing to the girls, we ended up with scoring a lot, and we ended up with learning, and we ended up being better than other teams because they were not throwing to girls. And then now I think that because I'm used to playing with girls, I might be able to do different schemes with the guys. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. And looking at your teams, I remember scorekeeping in the winter and seeing your team. At the time, they were a mismatch. I don't remember what the name was in the winter season, but I get now you guys are called mismatch. And I looked at some of the players on their team, like Gabriel Poisson, I mean, formerly of like the IG team. There's Gabrielle for right now, Gabriel Fortin, Melissa Millet, and some of the players, right? Like and I see your games. Like you make it a point to make sure that the females are involved in the game, and obviously that's important because you're right. When first started with co-ed, one of the complaints a lot of the females had was that they were just on the field for being on the field, right? Like for the sake of being on the field. Now to have them being an integral part of your offense and an integral part of the defense, it makes a huge difference. I usually I ask this question to females, but since you have a lot of experience in the co-ed divisions, what's your opinion on the growth of football, specifically with the females here in the province of Quebec?
Honestly, I feel like females are gonna compete very, very much. Like some people are like, let's say they're underrated in a way, but the females
Mhm.
are very, very competitive and they're very, very good. Sometimes like you'll be playing against a girl and she's actually amazing. I have like in my head I already have somebody that on my team that's called Joyce. You could put her on a guy, you could put her on a girl, you could put her on anybody. She's gonna cover them no matter what. Like she's incredible. She's on our team. We love her. Some of the teams don't like her because she's able to stop defenses. But like, I feel like the girls is actually like it's actually growing very very much, and they're getting very very good, and are able. I don't think they'll like. I believe at some point like it's gonna be very very competitive. Like the girls division as much as the guys.
Okay, no, that makes sense. That honestly makes sense. And again, from what I'm seeing, that appears to be the case. I know for your team, the mismatch, you guys are taking on the Merge tonight in Laval. So I know you got to take off pretty soon. Um, Again, just final thoughts of the season. How's the season been treating you so far, just on a personal level? Are you happy with everything that you've seen so far, or maybe is there something you'd like to change so far this season? I know it's early, but what has been your opinion of the spring season so far?
Honestly, for the spring season, I love it. Winter's out, summer's coming in. It's getting hot. It's getting warm back outside. I love it, and I think the season, like, it's very early for me to say how it's treating me. But I know it's in co-ed one. That's the only team that I actually really played, and I know it's very competitive. And I can't wait to play against actually the merge. I can't wait to play against every other team, even though I played against them last season. They're coming in with different schemes. They're coming in with different ideas, defense. They're switching it to try to contain either my team or me, which is always fun to play against them because you always find out something new about them, even though I played against them like every season.
So speaking of which, I imagine today Marc-Andre Reeves is going to rush you a little bit. You might be rushing Marc-Andre Reeves a little bit. It's always fun when I watch you guys play against each other. Even Ben McMahon as well, right? It's always fun watching you guys play against each other because it's like all three of you guys are great quarterbacks, but all three of you guys are great rushers as well.
Well, from our team that I know that our Cliff is not there for our team, so I know I'll be rushing Marc-Andre Reeves. It could be fun, which I believe that he's going to end up rushing me because he's going to get annoyed from me running. So it's going to be a back-to-back, and it's going to be fun the whole time.
Good luck in your game tonight, man. And also, just thank you for taking the time to join us. I really appreciate it, man. And good luck the rest of the season. Anytime you want to come on the podcast, you're more than welcome, brother.
Of course. Thanks so much for inviting me. Have a good night.
No problem. And congrats again, eh? Congrats again. August 21st, sir. Congrats again.
Thanks so much.
All right. Have a good one.
Thank you, too.
All right, so big thank you. That was Alex Szalipszki. Like I said, obviously bench warmers, ice pack, and the mismatch. So again, three teams for the soon-to-be father. So yeah. So again, as we say it every year, right? If you guys want to come on the podcast, please do. It usually ends up being either Quasi or I reaching out to people. Sometimes some of you guys reach out as well, but again, the more people reach out, the better. We want to get you guys on a podcast. We want to hear about you, hear about your teams, hear about your life outside of FPF too, right? So feel free to reach us. You can hit us up on the Facebook page. I know we have an Instagram channel as well, right? Just hit up the pod and we'll get back to you and come on the show and chop it up. Okay, so like I said earlier, right? New season, new divisions here in FPF, as is always the case. So like I said, we have Division F for the men's 6v6. So I'm going to pop it up on my screen right now, actually. So men's 6v6, Division F, newest division here. So I know talking to Jeff Rosenblatt and Ben McMahon halfway through the winter season, they told me about this season. They want to have a new division. And it's supposed to be for players who have pretty much never played football. So no tackle background for the most part, or mainly guys who are new or relatively new to FPF. So this is, I believe, the biggest division. 22 teams here in Division F. So it's serious stuff. There's a couple of teams. So I was taking some notes. There's a couple of teams I recognize from past seasons. So the Jamaican Bobsled team, one of my favorite teams, they're down here. Two Box, Sweet Bonanza, Over Under Achievers. So a couple of returning teams, gamblers as well, right? A couple of new teams, so at least a couple of new names I haven't seen before, so I'm super happy to see that. Vic's Doghouse. So I obviously I don't know if most of you people listening to this podcast should be old enough to remember when Mike Vick went to jail there for about 2 years or so for dog fighting, and the irony. I mean, I'm a dog person, so that's a serious thing. I mean, I love dogs. I think they're awesome. But I was also a big Michael Vick fan too, so I'm not gonna lie. He served his time though, so everything seems to be cool. I know he's a head coach, I think, in Norfolk State, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, the irony part of me of the name Vic's Doghouse is pretty funny. That was not lost on me. There's TGs, there's Devious Dogs. Don't touch down there. I mean, that's all right. It's creative. A couple familiar faces as well, right? So our main man, Keon Cyrus, who writes, I think, for almost every single division here in FPF. He's the quarterback of Junior XL. My main man as well, Marcus. He's gonna hate me for mispronouncing his last name. I've said it a million times. Marcus Kozicki. I believe that's how it is. Marcus, if I butchered it once more, I apologize. Eventually, I will get it right. But anyways, a couple familiar faces in this division, and it's just great to see. Like again, it's a new division here in FPF. Again, ideally, it's for guys with not that much experience in FPF, and ideally, not much tackle experience either. So it's pretty cool to see. So I'm happy to see that. Co-ed 4. So looking at that right here. So co-ed 4, there's 7 teams. So I wrote it down. There's Too Fast Mon Ami. There's Le Muniz. Hope I'm pronouncing that properly. Sax Appeal. Vodka Red Bull. That's one of my favorite names right there. Catch My Balls. Flamingos, and Vicious and Delicious. So 7 teams in all. I've seen a couple of familiar names as well, right? Catch My Balls has Gabriela Brega. I met her, I believe, during finals weekend. She's super cool. So she's no, I'm not finals weekend. My bad. The seasons are so short. The break in between is so short. So I met her last Saturday at Con U when I was scorekeeper. So she's good people. A couple of the names I see in this division: Anthony Robichaud, Dylan Boudreau, Melissa Millet, Morgana Lafaux, who I met during finals weekend. Scorekeeper Anissa Bushmela. I believe that's the entire, well, most of the Vicious and Delicious squad. Like again, they're in co-ed 4. I think they should really be in co-ed 3, but it is what it is. So yeah, exciting times, right, in FPF, right? More players, more competition. It's always a good thing to see. So that's for the new divisions. So let's go to a couple of the familiar divisions, if you will, right? So let's hop over to Division A. So in Division A, right, usually that's the division. It's a cream of the crop here in FPF, at least for men 6-on-6, right? So I'm going to Division A right now. And the first thing I notice is there's only 5 teams, which is really disappointing, but it is what it is. I guess less is more in this circumstance. So I'll go over the teams quickly. They've started the season already, sitting atop the standings at 2-0 as one stop, followed by the Braves, who are 1-0, and then 0-1 ECW, 0-1 Fins Up, and 0-1 Vultures. So looking at this division, right, it's super exciting. I mean, it's only 5 teams, but it's exciting. The quality of quarterbacks, you have Joe Maier, right? You have Mike Caparelli, who's been a former guest on the show, Jeremy White, you have Ben McMahon, obviously, and the main man himself, Will Power. Now, if you notice, one name I didn't say, right? One name you didn't hear is Kevin Wyeth. Alex talked about him before on the podcast, or earlier, obviously on the pod, but he's not playing Division A this year. So this is the first time in a long time, I think, that he's not playing 6-on-6 in the highest division. Obviously, his team last year, the Infantry, lost in the finals to the Braves last year, 44-29 in the Division A finals. I remember Kevin was really not happy about that loss, but that's neither here or there. I know this past season playing with the Infantry, he had a bit of a rough season, not really a deep playoff run at all. It was kind of a shaky season, but again, he's the GOAT and he's the best that's ever did it for a reason. I expect him to bounce back. But again, he's not here, right? So that's a huge void for Division A. So the question, of course, is the Braves, right? They're 1-0. And the Braves started off their season. They got a W as they knocked off the Vultures. They spanked the Vultures, actually, at 44-12. Right? So that was definitely an ugly game. Looking at that one quickly, right? So Joe Maier had... Actually, Joe Maier wasn't even there, so my apologies. It's Guillaume Ballon. So Guillaume had 3 touchdown passes, 1 INT, and Dab Champagne had 1 touchdown pass himself. So Ben McMahon, obviously the quarterback for Vultures, 2 touchdowns, 2 INTs. So again, the Braves have missed Joe Maier before. They haven't skipped a beat, and that's the case this time, right? Again, 44-12 over the Vultures. So the question though becomes, right, with no Kevin Wyeth in the way, Joe Maier definitely is the best quarterback. He hasn't even played yet, but he's the best quarterback in this division. That we can't even. I'm not even going to debate that. It's a waste of everybody's time and mine as well. The question though is, are the Braves just a shoo-in to make the finals? I mean, again, they have 4 other teams to compete with. Again, one stop. I think the feistiest team in Division A, any division to play in, one stop. Again, a bunch of current and former tackle guys. These guys, they can talk trash and back it up. Again, you have ECW, an explosive offense. They usually struggle defensively, but their offense, led by Jeremy White, is usually prolific. You have, again, Fins Up, right? Again, Will Power, a stud quarterback in this league, and he's always surrounds himself with a lot of the same receivers who can make plays anywhere on the field. And, of course, the Vultures, led by Ben McMahon, right? So are the Braves going to be just a shoo-in to make the finals, or could some team maybe knock them off, right? Going into the winter season, we thought the Infantry, Rory Semerjian, obviously Kevin Wyeth, Matt Kerouac, we thought for sure they'd at least make the semifinals, and I think they were one and done, if I'm not mistaken. So I mean, you have to go onto the field and play the games, as I always say here on the podcast, as is crazy, right? So, I mean, the Braves appear to be the favorite, but things could happen, right? Things get shaken up. You never know. So we'll have to wait and see what happens in this division. Again, since there's only 5 teams, I'll just do a really quick rundown of the schedule. So 2 games, both on this weekend for week 2. Vultures at ECW at Loyola. So I'll be there. I think I might be scorekeeping that game, actually. And then Sunday in Laval outdoors, Braves and Vultures. So 2 games for the Vultures this coming weekend. Saturday against ECW, Sunday against the Braves. So the Vultures 0-1 right now. As I said, they got spanked by the Braves. They have a chance to get a little revenge this coming weekend. We'll have to see what happens with that. What else do we see here? So also, actually, you know what? Let me stick with Division A for a second. So again, we said no Kevin Wyeth, which is a shock to see. We did talk about some of the remaining quarterbacks that are in this division. Again, just looking at Wyeth's stats right now, he's played nearly 600 games. He has over 400 wins. I mean, that ratio is pretty good. But also in Division A, right? Looking at it, there's no Idaho Ute Pims or Idaho Ida Pims. I know they're in Division 2, Division B for sure, because that's one of the divisions I write for, if I can say that properly. But they're not playing Division A. Sometimes in the spring they'll have a Division A and Division B team, so they're not here. The Party Crashers, who made the finals in Division 1, and yeah, maybe kind of got screwed over on an offside call on the rusher. They still had a chance though to make a stop after that, and they didn't. But the Party Crashers, again, they made the finals in Division 1 this past winter. They're not in Division A either. They're only playing co-ed. They're only playing 5v5. And we look at it as well. No Jeff, right? Jeff Rosenblatt usually has a team in Division A/1 and Division 2/B. He has his team Hard 8 in Division B, but no team in Division A. So it's a little surprising, and an uneven amount of teams as well, which kind of messes up with the schedule a little bit. But again, 5 teams. Again, no Party Crashers, so no Jean-Lee Alexi, no Jeff Rosenblatt. Yeah, that's no Brady O'Hannison and the rest of his crew, right? So again, it's missing a lot of top-notch quarterbacks in this division. So now, like I said, the question is, who's going to come up and take those spots behind Joe Maillet? Will it be Will Power? Will it be Jeremy White, Mike Caparelli, Ben McMahon? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. It's going to be interesting, though. It's going to be interesting all the way down to the finish here in Division A. Okay, so one thing I'm looking at, just going to go to my notes here. So looking at Division B, right? Again, this is the division that I'll be writing. Well, one of the divisions that I'll be writing for. So yeah, I'm going to say here, I'm going to write Division B, and there's about 2 other divisions I'm going to write for, because it's pretty much me and Keon and I think Yvonne doing most of the writing. So why not, make it a little fair to those guys and spread it out a little bit, at least give a couple more divisions to a couple more people. Because again, we're trying to write for every single division. I'm not sure that's going to happen this season, but we're going to try and write as many as we can. Hopefully we'll be able to touch on every single division. So Division B, 11 teams here, right? I talked about Hard 8. You got the Silent Ticklers, Idaho Ute Pims, usual suspects, right? One thing, though, we have in the Bruins as well as KGP Dynasty. So KGP Dynasty dropped down from top division, so they're here now. Although they did play in Division 2 in the winter. But one thing I noticed as well, right? So you have FPF's Most Wanted. So I looked at that, I'm like, oh, it's a new team. Nah, not really. It's backfield penetration from the 5v5 division. So they brought themselves over from 5v5. Usually they're an intermediate and competitive. Now they're playing here in Division 2, and I think that's an appropriate division for them. One team that did drop down, well, I'll get to this later, actually. We're going to talk about some teams who moved up and some teams who dropped down, but a little spoiler alert here is No Regard. They dropped down from Division A to Division B. Now, I've said on this podcast a million times, that I've written in articles as well about this team. I'm friends with a couple of the guys on the team, and I know a lot of the guys on the team from playing in FPF for a long time, as I have, and from doing the media side as well, right? This team has talent. I say it every year. This team has, if you were just to line up on the field, and let's say you didn't know anybody, you just line up on the field and be like, okay, there's this team, there's that team, and there's this team standing next to each other. If you looked at No Regard, you'd be like, yeah, I'm taking these guys 1,000%. I'll tell you why. So you got Kendall Myers, the defensive mastermind. You got my main man, Ryan Perry. You got Joey Notaro, pardon me. You got Kenny Bay, right, former Conure receiver. You have Terry Greville, right, on the team. Zachary Alexi. Like, these guys have been around the block a long time. They added Alexi Mimo, who really was spectacular during finals weekend, and Zach Deschamps again, for the second season in a row now, he's the starting quarterback. Miles Gibbon is not the quarterback. He's not even on this team right now. Maybe he'll be subbing later on in the season, right? You have, again, you have a stacked roster. You have a lot of big time players. Nellis Jacobs as well. Again, you have Sanders Armand to it. Sorry, I forgot about Sanders. Anyways, you have a lot of talent on this team here, but they always struggle. They struggle to sometimes get one win, right, during the regular season. So dropping down a little bit, yeah, maybe it's a little humbling, but they drop down and they can be competitive, right? And they can make the playoffs. I honestly think this is the perfect division for hashtag no regard. They lost their season opener. They lost to Le Petit Keras. Going to get to them in a second, 34-32, right? But that game went down to the wire. And again, if you're no regard, obviously you hate losing. These guys have, I think all of them for the most part, except for maybe one or two have played tackle. And all these guys have played in FPF for more than a while now, right? So you hate losing, but again, you're competitive because getting your getting beat down 44-19 or 50 to like 26, that's no fun, right? Then you have the issue where people stop wanting to come to games at the end of the year. You have forfeits because I don't want to be on an 0-10 team or a team that finishes 2-8 or 1-9. Division B is a perfect division, pardon me, for hashtag no regards. I'm happy for these guys, and I wish them nothing but luck and success because, again, these are a good group of dudes. So I want them to play and to win some games as well, right? They lost by 2, but it's better than losing by about 2 touchdowns or 3 or 4, right? As has been the case in previous seasons with no regard. Again, the talent is there. I think right now they're playing in the division that's best for them. A couple of the teams, right, that kind of moved up and down, and the Petit Carrots, right? I played against these guys in Division C the last couple of springs. They're here in this division as well, right? So they made the jump up. Jason Reyes, I shut it out to Jason Reyes. I was hoping to get him on the podcast. I never heard back. So Jason, if you hear this, you're more than welcome to come on the pod anytime, my man. We can chop it up. So the Petit Carrots again, right, making that jump here to Division B, and I think it's appropriate. I think it's a good spot for this team, right? I'm looking at the roster again. Jason Reyes is a quarterback. Formerly, I believe, Champlain. A lot of guys that played at Champlain with him, right? Yeah, there's Xavier Bro, Zach Cloutier is on the team, Mike Fafard, right? So some guys with some experience. They also have, they added, I believe, last year, Felix Boutte, right? So Felix Boutte is, if you don't know him, you should. But Felix Boutte is who many people think is the best receiver right now in any division in FPF. And I got to be honest with you, it's hard to argue that, right? Blazing speed, runs pretty good routes, has great hands. He can get by you. Doesn't really talk trash. I've never really heard him talk at all, to be honest, but he's quiet, but he goes around and just does his business and slices up defense. So you have that guy as your number one receiver. That definitely opens things up for some of the guys on your roster, right? So this is a really good team. I'm happy to see them playing in Division B because I think they have the talent and the awareness to be in this division. I'm looking also at Speed Academy. It's a team I played against last spring, pardon me, led by Eric Laplan, right? It's a good, solid squad. They got a lot of hype, and they got some speed as well. So you have on the team, again, like I said, Emil Plant's their quarterback. You have Shelder Valeria, one of the most underrated players in all of FPF. If you haven't seen Shelder, go on and watch him. You have Gucci on the team, so Samuel Mumbo. You have Nick Pierre Mas. Again, he did a great job, by the way, as a sideline reporter during finals weekend. So shout out to Nick. He's a good dude. He's a big-time receiver. Felix Derry Bernard, right? This guy could play. He plays quarterback in co-ed. He's a good receiver as well. Great defender. Don't sleep on him. Jimmy Maneris, like this team has some, Daryl Dosey, this team has some speed and they have some athletes. Massim Brissett as well, right? This team can get up and down the field on you. Don't sleep on them. This is a team who played pretty well last year in Division C. I'm surprised. I thought they maybe come back and try to, have some unfinished business in Division C since I don't think they won the championship last year. I thought they'd come back and maybe play again, but props to these guys. They moved on up and if they want to get on to bigger and better things, so good job to those guys. We talked about Ice Pack briefly, pardon me, for Alex Szalipszki, right? Looking at his squad. So he's obviously on this team. I was going through some of the names. So Austin Yazbek McDonald, he's a good dude. I've seen him play in lower divisions. He's making that move up to higher divisions. He's a good player. Clifty Salon, who Alex was talking about before. He's on his team. Giovanni Antonacci. They got some ballers on this team. Eric Nams as well, right? He's a really good player, smart defender as well, right? So they got some players on this team. I'm excited to see what Division Two has in store this season here in FPF because again, there's some big time players and some really big time names and some really, it's some really good teams. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with that. So jumping around now, let's move over. So again, we did Division A, we did Division B. So one thing we want to try. So I know I was talking with our three-headed monster here for this podcast yesterday. So one of the decisions I was trying to make, and we're gonna see, you're gonna try this out at least for this episode. You guys let us know what you think. Instead of going division by division, which some people love that, and that's great if you do. But we want to do to make the podcast more efficient and more compact, right? Is we're just gonna try to jump on different headlines and look at different stories here in FPF. We're not necessarily we're not. I did Division A and Division B, but I don't want to. We're not gonna go through every single division. Yes, I did Division F because it's new, and I did Co-Ed 4 because it's new as well. We're gonna try and touch on every division, but just get to some headlines instead of going division by division by division, looking at games of the week, recapping games. I know that gets a little boring for you guys, and to be honest, it gets a little boring for us too. So at least for this week and maybe next week, we're going to try this format where we're just kind of hopping all over the place. Instead of doing 2 episodes every week, we're going to try and keep it to 1, but we don't want one episode to be 3 hours, right? Or 3.5 hours like it was sometimes in the past. We're going to try and keep this to an hour and a half, 2 hours tops, short and sweet, straight to the point for you guys. So again, let us know what you think. Hit us up on that Facebook page, on the FlagPlus Football Facebook page, or obviously on Instagram as well, right? You see all the posts Ali Reza puts out every week. He works hard, so let him know what you think. So yeah, so again, so we covered the first couple of the divisions here. Just looking at what else I have here in my notes. Again, my apologies. It's kind of a last second thing that I found that I'll be doing this by myself, but it's all good. Okay, so let's go to the ladies. So before I talked about Division A, right, with no Kevin Wyeth. Well, you know what? It's going to be the same thing for the women's A, right? There's no Sub-Zero, which means there's no Sarah Parker, right? There's no Sabrina Gervais, and a lot of those athletes you're used to seeing, right? The best of the best in the women's division here in FPF. I mean, we had a chance to watch them over championship weekend. They had a big comeback victory, and I'm saying that right now, and for the life of me, I can't remember who they played. I will get to that in a second. But anyways, they had a big. Sorry. Yeah, it was Cayenne. Yeah, you're right. It was Cayenne. Thank you. Yeah, it was Cayenne. I was torn between Cayenne and Matrix. Thank you, Ali Rez. This is why you're here. And I said that big comeback victory over Cayenne. I called that game. I honestly thought Cayenne was going to pull it out. Like they looked like they were going to pull it out, and Sub-Zero did Sub-Zero things, and they got the W. And I gotta say, speaking of Alex's point before, right, about some of the females that are playing here, not just in FPF but in the province of Quebec, it's always great to see like women coming out and balling, right? And they're not shy, they're not afraid, they're not timid by the situation, by the bright lights, and by the atmosphere, right? You guys came out in Brassard, you saw, but for a lot of the games, the place was packed, the crowd was hollering, people were jumping up and screaming after every single big play. It's great to see, and I love again the growth of women's football here in this province. A lot of it is due to FPF, right? I think it's a great thing to see. So it's encouraging more ladies to come on out and play some ball. But again, getting back to my main point, right? So there's no Sub-Zero this season in women's A. So you look at the landscape right now, right? So who do we have? You might be asking. So we have Purple Heat. So Purple Heat is basically Cayenne. So looking at some of the names, obviously Sandrine Gobet Hewitt. She's on the roster. She has not thrown yet. We had Ann Tyers, like I say, who's thrown more than enough games in place of Sandrine Gobet Hewitt, and she's a phenomenal athlete, great two-way player. Talking, of course, about Tyers' legacy. So she's led this team so far to a 2-0 record. They had a big win. Looking at it here, so 34-35 over Chaos. I'm gonna get to Chaos in a few minutes, right? So don't worry about it, ladies. I'll get to you guys soon. And then they had a 27-0, a beatdown of Sparks, right? So Purple Heat has started the season 2-0. They're looking solid, right? And you go through this roster. Well, I'm like, yeah, this is pretty much Cayenne, right? So you look at it, right? They have Mathilde Renault, Leanne Rancourt, Tamara Boulanger, right? A lot of the same players you'll see in Cayenne and that. There's some players, obviously, Florence Bayou Clement. I talked before about Sandrine Gobet-Hewitt, Lauriane Beauchamp. They have Elodie Fournier on the team, Abigail Perot, right? So all these ladies can ball. Like You don't have to worry about that. Again, this team right now, again, standing on top of Women's A with the 2-0 record. Through 2 games, they let up 25 points. Like I said, they just finished pitching a shutout, right? So that's pretty impressive. We have the Birds, right? The Birds are sitting at 1-0. They had a big 27-13 win also over the Sparks, right? So you're looking at this team right here. This group of ladies on the team. So you have F.A. Patron, Clarence Michaud, Lorianne Bouchard, Eunice Fotso, Alice Lucia, right? There's some ballers on this team. Sydney Coet, right? She had a breakout year a few seasons ago in her rookie year. She's back again doing Sydney Coet things. Rosalie Major, right? Mian Richard, if I've ever heard of her, so I apologize. But again, this Sophia De Loretto, right? So this team has some ladies that have some experience. They got some speed and they can ball as well, right? They're here to stay. You got Knicks. So Knicks, I was looking at it right here. So their logo. So it's a woman holding a ball. She has kind of a cloak on and a mask. Knicks Goddess of the Night. I think that's pretty dope. So I mean, looking at that here, they haven't played yet. They're playing against Blue Pound. Just Friday, May 1st. It doesn't make any sense. But anyways, according to the standings here, they haven't played yet. But so let's look at the roster. So a couple of one friend of the show for sure, Ashley Langin, Leo Begra, Laura Zuka, Anouk Benelil, Christophe Jamel, right? I recognize all these names. Maria Manseri, right? And Mary Lou Ballon, this team could play. Leticia Ngalu, Chloe Samard, yeah, this team. We have Stella. We got the G on the show as well. So we on the team as well, right? So these ladies can ball. Shelly Grenier, not worried about them. I think they're going to give all the teams a run for the money here in this division. Who else do we have here? So we got Chaos, right? I'll get to them in a second. We got the Sparks, right? Who I talked about. Right now, the Sparks offensively challenge a little bit, right? They're sitting at 0-2 right now. Again, 27-0 loss to the Purple Heat and then a 13-27 loss to the Birds. So 13 points over 2 games. That's a little tough, but I'm looking at the roster. Claudine Tobin, Corinne Busk, Lily Stella Dafon Turcotte. I've seen her play before. Marika Bouchard. Yeah, a couple familiar faces here. Julia Beauvais. Yeah, okay. Danielle Escobar. I've seen her play. She's played for the Cavs, I believe. Alexandre LeBlanc's on the roster. Chloe Corbet as well. They haven't played any games yet, so hopefully they will because those two will definitely help. Ray Mason as well. Ray Mason, I talked about her during the winter season. I remember subbing the scorekeeping, pardon me, in Broussard one day, and I saw her and I was like, who's this girl here? She was just kind of tearing it up, and I came away super, super impressed. So hopefully she's on this team. She doesn't have a game played either, but hopefully she's on this team, ready to rock and roll. Hopefully this coming week. We'll have to see. And then we get the Chaos, right? Again, 16 division. Chaos right now, 0-1. Like I said, they had a tough loss. Close one, though. 34-25 to Purple Heat, right? So Chaos is a team we talked about all season, right? And again, they won their championship in women's 2 this past winter season. So congrats to those ladies. Well deserved. And they said right on the post-game show in the interview with Nick that they were coming up to women's 1. And women's A, I should say, pardon me, same thing. And you know what? Congrats to these ladies. That's what they did. They stayed true to the word. Again, 0-1 start to the season. Let's not sound the alarm just yet. There's a lot of season left. I know this year though. So talking to Lamise and Emma. We had a staff dinner last week for all the FPF people. Shout out to Jeff, by the way, for the staff dinner at Bocce. That place is awesome. Open bar, always good. Yeah, I hear Ali Reza laughing. Ali Reza had a good time. Ali Reza had a good time. Had to take a taxi home. Man. He had a good time. So okay, so the core is here, right? For Chaos. So you got Allison Silva, obviously the quarterback, the leader. You have Gigi, you have Marilyn, you got Lamiche, you got Emma. So you got a core Lee as well, right? She's and Heidi, right? So those are the core players. They added Dakota Scott and Charlene Vixamar. So Lamise told me they were adding these 2 players, and she said they can ball. We're excited to see what they can do. So I know Rochelle Valliere, she's on the roster, but she's not going to be playing this season. I know I talked to her during finals weekend. She said she was really banged up from the season. She's looking to take a season off. So this appears to be that season she's going to take off. I know Marilyn and Lamise told me they were going to be adding some other players as well. They were potentially maybe adding some other players for whatever reason it didn't work out. But they were more than happy like I said, to add Dakota and to add Charlene, because they were all three of those ladies who I talked to at the staff dinner were excited to be adding Dakota and Charlene. So again, this is a veteran team, right? They have tons of championship experience, and like I said, they backed it up. They made this jump now, what we all wanted to see the last few seasons. They made this jump now to Women's A. So let's see how they do. It's not their first time in Women's A. They played Women's A a couple of seasons ago. Didn't work out so well, but now they're a little older, this team. They have even more chemistry. They're fresh off winning yet another championship. So we're rooting for these ladies. Let's see what they do. Blue Power, right? So Blue Power is another team jumping up now. Oh, no, sorry. Blue Power was in Women's One this past winter. They have yet to play. They're taking on Knicks. Supposed to be playing this coming Friday. So some of the names again, right, that we've seen going back to last season. So that'd be Erica Magini, Sarah Babish is on the roster, Frederic Paul, Audrey Lajoie, Beatrice Tremblay, Julia Paradis-Robert, Marina Scalza, Chrétien. So the list goes on, right? So again, this team last season didn't have the best season. They finished one of the second to last seed, just ahead of Sherbrooke. So hopefully that season of experience under the belt could transform this season to make it a little better at both sides of the ball. But again, there's some talented ladies on this team, so I'm looking forward to see what they can do. And hopefully, you know, they could climb the standings a little bit here at Women's Day. So again, 6 teams, no Sub-Zero. Kind is pretty much turned into Purple Heat, no Matrix, right? So it's going to be interesting to see. So the question I have, of course, is Purple Heat the automatic favorite to make the finals? And if so, who will they be playing against? Or can maybe some team knock off Purple Heat? You never know, right? Again, crazier things have happened. Top teams get upset all the time here in FPF, right? So, I mean, just because Purple Heat right now is 2-0, looking like the class of the division, doesn't mean that's going to be the case, you know, come the end of August when we have finals weekend, right? So we'll have to see. And of course, finals weekend, August 22nd and 23rd. Once again, should be in Bristard, so make sure to tune out to that. I hope you guys enjoyed finals weekend a few weeks ago from this winter. We had about 19 games, I think, overall. It's a lot of fun, a long day for everybody, long 2 days, I should say, for everybody that was there. As you saw, right, we handed out championships, we handed out banners. Some people got MVP rings as well, which was pretty cool. And so hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And we'll do it all again this coming August. Okay, so going for Women's A, now looking at Women's B. So like I said, chaos is gone. Chaos is gone at Women's B, and rightfully so. It was time for them to move on up, and they did, to their credit. So looking at the landscape right now, right, at Women's B, there are 7 teams. So this is, I was looking at my notes last night, right, when I started to prep for this, and I was like, okay, so you got Supernova, you have the Wolfpack, you got the Cavaliers, you got Hebrew. So Hebrew making the jump from Women's 3 to Women's 2. So I guess you could say 3 to Women's B. So that's good to see. I know Hebrew lost in the championship game, but they said, you know what? We have enough talent. We're going to make that jump. So credit to them on doing so. Nothing but best wishes for them. And hopefully they stay healthy and have a really good season. La Sororité. Again, I said Supernova. And then I came to 2 teams. It's like the Originals. I was like, oh, okay, who's on the Originals? I was like, that's an original name, pun intended. So I started looking at it, and I was like, I know all these players. I was like, Jade Shem Moreau. I was like, yeah, I've seen a ton of her games. I've scored kicked a million of her games. Alexi Galarno, Jessica Bainville, and I was like, wait a second, aren't these all Wolfpack players? And then I started looking at their bios, and I was like, yeah, they are. So there's a Wolfpack team, and there's the Originals, who are, I guess, the former Wolfpack team. So Battle of the Wolves is what I called it, right? So this is going to be interesting to see the Wolfpack against the Originals. Just trying to see when they play against each other. Just looking at the schedule here. So they play each other actually this coming Sunday at Loyola. I mean, I'm working Saturday. I'm doing some scorekeeping Sunday, not at Loyola, but not too far away from there. So maybe I'll come on by and check it out. So Wolfpack against the Originals this coming Sunday at noon at Loyola. So go check that game out. Again, the Originals against the current Wolfpack. So I don't know if there was any beef, any issues of why the Originals aren't part of the Wolfpack now. If any of you ladies want to come on the show from either side and let us know, that'd be great. But again, so that's a rivalry matchup, right? Again, like I said, you have Supernova, a team I liked a lot. I mean, we talked about them a decent amount on the podcast last season, right? So looking at their team, right? They have some players who can play on this team who I'm excited to see once again, right? So I know Lara Azuko as she played a game for that team. I'm not sure if she's there full time, but Clarence Michaud's on that team, Emma Michaud as well, Lily Cousson. So they got some players. They got some players on the team. I'm excited to see what they can do. Supernova losing, unfortunately for them, though, 24-6. They got beat down there by the originals. So if you're Supernova or you're looking to bounce, well, actually no, pardon me, they did bounce back actually. Sorry. So going a little too fast here. My apologies. So Supernova started off the season, pardon me, laying a beat down on the Cavaliers 34-6, but then they lost 24-6 to the originals. So 1-1 right now. They have a big matchup coming up against a team I'm going to be talking about in a second. And that team, but before I get to them, actually, let me look at the Cavaliers. So Champlain, right now. So they lost again 34-6 to Supernova, and they just lost to the team I'm going to talk about in a second, the Merge, 12-6 this past Sunday at Loyola. So this Cavaliers team, I mean, again, they appear at least right now to be one of the lower teams in the division, but again, it's early, right? It's early. It's only week 2 right now. They have a lot of chance to bounce back. This is a young team, a young squad. They got some playmakers on it. Let's see what they can do. Hopefully, they'll be able to bounce back. Now, so I talked about this last team here, the Merge. So this team pretty much, I'm going to go back to my phone because I reached out to a player on their team and I go, why are you guys called the Merge? I was like, there's already kind of a team called the Merge, right? They've been kind of one of the, I'll say it, one of the dynasty teams here last couple years in FPF. So I reached out to Shani Mitch and she's like, yeah. So we didn't know that the other team, the Merge or the Merge 2.0, usually plays co-ed, right? She's like, we had no idea they had the same name as us. So she's like, oh, well, it's our name now. So, and I asked her this case, so what's up? So she goes, basically, this team is a mix of She Sparks, so the team that won, that knocked off Hebrew for the Women's Street Championship a few weeks ago. So it's a mix of She Sparks and Turf Titans. We've talked about both those teams the last couple of years, a big rivalry. Those were two of the weaker teams, I guess you could say, for lack of better words, right? In the women's division that they were in. But they decided now to combine teams, which a lot of teams do that, right? We've seen Matrix and Cayenne do it before, and it's actually a really smart move by this group of players. So kudos to them. So now they're called the Merge, right? Not the Merge from co-ed with like Marc-Andre Reeves and Corley Leduc, Laurie, and all that. It's a totally different team. But right now they're sitting at 1-1. So Hebrew kind of got a little bit of revenge, right? Against at least the She Sparks part of the Merge as they beat them down 38-0 this past Saturday at Con U. And then one day later, the Merge got off the mat and got their first W, like I said, 12-8 over the Cavaliers. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see this Merge team. Again, this Merge is a mix, like I said, of She Sparks and Turf Titans. And when some of the players from the She Sparks, that's a mix of like a block party and all the other teams that all these guys play on. They're the reason why Brassard was packed. Every championship weekend, they're the reason why it's rocking in Brassard or wherever the case is, but specifically Brassard. So there's homegirl, so Brianna Terracone, so she's on the team. Obviously, Rashani Mitch, what is talked about. A lot of players. Tabitha Thomas was a guest on the show with Shani, so she's on this team. I'm looking at it. You have Hillary Hilaire, Sarah Mo, Hamel. I know Yvonne's coaching this team, so shout out to him. Tiffany Cipollone, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Again, Samora Fantasako, I've seen her play. She's a baller as well. So, and Yerline Constant. So again, I'm excited to watch this team play. Again, usually when these two teams mix together, it's always a good thing. So I'm super happy about that. So we're gonna see what happens here in this division. I'm excited to see what's up for Women's B. Looking at Women's C here. So Women's C, this was interesting. Pardon me. This was interesting to me. So I was looking at it last night again when I was prepping. I was like, all right. So Women's C had a pretty solid season last year, right? So I was looking at it, I go, who's coming back in Women's C? So we got 7 teams, right? We got Lioness, who should be in Women's C. Again, I want to see these ladies build on last year. Last year didn't go so well. They were 0-10. They scored 57 total points the entire season. So I'm doing some quick math here on air. You want to do 57 divided by 10, they average less than a touchdown a game. 5.7 points a game. Not exactly the greatest points per game average. So hopefully that's a learning experience. They'll come out a little better. I know they started their season already. They're 0-1 Lioness. They lost 14-8 to Obsidian. So again, 14-8 is pretty close. That's a one possession game, right? They lost by a touchdown. So again, they scored 8 points. They got their one touchdown. They can get another one. They probably could have got the W. But again, the fact that the defense came out and held the team to 14 points, that's a great step, ladies, in the right direction. Hopefully, you ladies can build on it. So we got The Rock, right? The Rock in women's C, this is the perfect spot for them. They have some veterans on this team. They went through some struggles though last year in women's too, so dropping down a little bit to kind of humble themselves and they get a little better, work on the chemistry, work on the timing. Great thing for those ladies. The Valkyries are here, like I talked about already. Obsidian, a team obviously again they're 1-1 now in the season. So you have a Hunsick, right? So obviously shout out to Tara Mackage, friend of the show, friend of the league. She's been in the league forever. So I remember talking about it in the winter season. I went to Scorekeeper game in Saint Laurent on a Monday night for a Hunsick, and they had, I believe it was 22 ladies playing. And I was like, you have enough for an offense, you got enough for a defense, you have even special teams if you wanted. What they did, what a lot of these school teams do, now it's two different Hunsick teams. There's A-Town Black and A-Town White. So that's pretty cool to see. So separated into two teams. The question, though, of course, is going to be now, who's the better team? I honestly have no idea, but if you want to go off the games played so far, A-Town Black beat A-Town White this past Sunday in Laval by a score of 12-6. So, I mean, bragging rights in the locker room when they go back to practice at a Hunsick definitely belongs to A-Town Black. Looking at the stats here, Catherine Bilodeau went 5 of 24. Yes, 5 of 24, 59 yards, 2 TDs, 1 INT. The other side for A-Town White, it was Daphne Belanger, 7 of 21. 121 yards, 120 yards, 1 touchdown, but 5 INTs, right? So those 5 turnovers definitely played a role in the game. Shout out to this defense. There was this play, actually, defense really by both teams, but A-Town Black will start with them. Natasha Maureen Nupeyu had 2 INTs. Rose Gravel had an INT. Angelique Jourdain had an INT. And Nyla Anderson and Gus had an INT. On the other side, for A-Town White, we had Micah Pereira with an INT, and then we had a sack by Aisha Camara. So good job to those ladies. All came out and balled. Again, bragging rights for now. Go to A-Town Black with the 12-6 win over A-Town White. These two play each other again in the final game. Wow, the regular season. It's going to be all the way on Thursday, August 6th in week 12, once again out in Laval. So obviously, A-Town Black's going to have, they're going to be able to talk a lot of trash for a couple months, or at least through the majority of the summer until they meet again at the end of August. We'll have to see how that one plays out. And again, looking at it here, yeah, so this one team I was looking at, I'm going to get to the segment right after this, I promise. Run Like a Girl. Run Like a Girl is a hilarious name. I love that team name. I think it's awesome. I don't know if Running Like a Girl helps them out, but they're 2-0 this season so far. They knocked off the Valkyries 37-15 on Saturday. Then one day later, they beat down Obsidian by a score of 25-0. So, hey, like I always say, right, when you pitch a shutout, that matters. Doesn't matter who you're playing against. You pitch a shutout. The team, Run Like a Girl, got 5 INTs in that game off of Lori Cristofaro. So good job to those ladies. Marine Verdi had 1 INT that she ran back to the house, and then 4 INTs by Marguerite Thifo. Yeah, I mean, right, Marguerite Thifo with 4 INTs in that contest. So, good job to her. The quarterback, Adele Nadeau, had 112 yards, 2 touchdown passes, and she ran for a score as well. So shout out to those ladies on Run Like a Girl. Again, one of the top names, I think, in this entire division. I'm super happy to see that. And again, so they got the W here. So that wraps things up for the ladies. Looking at co-ed. So let's jump over to co-ed right now. So one thing I noticed, the theme of co-ed, right? Co-ed 1, at least 1, 2, and 3. We did co-ed 4 already. Talked about that. Again, that's newest, one of the newest divisions here in FPF. Again, along with the men's 6v6, where you have Division F. But co-ed 1, 2, and 3. So as is the case. Pardon me. Let me try that again. As is the case, right? When you go from the winter season to the spring, there's going to be less teams, right? That's just, it is what it is, right? spring is here. Summer's right around the corner. I mean, the weather today wasn't that great, but I mean, it's not snowing, so I'm happy. But people go on vacation. People move. People sometimes, stuff to do, right? Summer, it's festivals. There's this, there's that. Getting construction. Well, that's all year round, really, in this city. But it is what it is, right? There's always less teams and players in the spring. So the theme for co-ed this year, unfortunately, is less is more, right? Co-ed 1 goes from 7 teams to 5. Co-ed 2 goes from 19 to 13. And co-ed 3 went from 20 to 9. So I'm basing it off the winter season, right? Not last year's spring season. So again, the theme here is less is more. Hopefully that's going to be the case. Again, looking at co-ed 1 here, right? So we talked a little bit about co-ed 1 with Alex before, right? So we have the mismatch and the 0-2. So we have the merge. Again, those two teams are doing battle tonight. So I don't want to say the real merge. I don't want to insult the ladies in the women's division, but the OG merge, if you will. So they're here. Tea Party as well. Lego My Flag, the Woos, right? So a lot of teams we recognize that have played here for the last couple seasons. So again, only 5 teams here in co-ed 1. We look at co-ed 2, right? Like I said, it went from 19 teams in co-ed 2 to 13. So let's take a look quickly at some of the teams that we have here in this division. So starts off Plenty of Fish, right? So Plenty of Fish went down from co-ed 1 to co-ed 2. They had a rough season. I talked to Julian McLaren Thompson the other day at Concordia, and he even told me, yeah, we dropped down, or that team dropped down a division. He goes, this didn't work out well for us in the winter, so now they dropped down, so that's good to see. We got certified at Speed Academy mix, so obviously make sure some of the regular Speed Academy guys in this team. No pads, no helmets, just balls. So a team we've talked about a lot over the last couple of seasons. Shark Attack, right? Team I liked watching a lot last summer. We got Double Dip, another solid team. Kamikaze, Block Party, shout out to them. Always fun to see them play. Easy Fun as well, a team coming now in Division 2. I think they have a co-ed 2, pardon me. They were in co-ed 1 last year. The Bench Warmers, right, who Alex talked about. He's playing with those guys as well. We got Certified. We got Benpricons. So I was like, Benpricons. It has to be Ben McMahon. And I looked and I clicked on it. And of course, that's Ben McMahon's team. That's a great name. I had a laugh to myself last time when I saw that. So Jaden Edgeo, he's on the team as well. So former receiver at Champlain, he's on his team. His main man, obviously, Ben's main man, Phil Roberts, Abigail Perot, Mary Staniscu, who usually plays for McGill. She's on his team. Melissa Goulet. They got some players. Louise Lefebvre. They got some players. Thomas Cote. I'm not worried about Ben and his crew. He always puts together a competitive team, no matter what the regular season record is. Like I said, we got bench warmers, and we had the rookies. So I'm looking at the rookies right here. I'm doing this in real time. So in terms of names that I recognize, and again, there's a lot of players in this league, so if I don't recognize your name, please don't be insulted. It is what it is. There's a lot of players in this league. But I saw, so Timothy Nema Lacasse, I believe I've seen his name before. Cedric Maurice, I know I've seen him. There's also Elodie Simino, Megan Trudel, Laurent Girard, Ariane Boucher, Gabrielle Poulin, Gabrielle Belanger, and Alexia Royal. Or Royale, I imagine she probably pronounces it. So they lost, the rookies. They lost to the Benpricons 45-34. That was just past Sunday. So again, a solid performance by Cedric Maurice, who played quarterback. Yeah, 3 touchdown passes and 3 INTs. Top receiver was Gabriel Poulin, who had 90 yards and a touchdown. Looking at the other side, Ben went 14-24, 178 yards. He had 6 TDs in that game. Jaden Edgeo, again, former tackle receiver, had 2 TDs. Abigail Perot, 2 TDs herself. And then Jaden Edgeo, to go along with his 2 TDs, he had 2 INTs as well. Ben McMahon had an INT that he ran back to the house for a touchdown. So that's kind of the difference right there, right? One team had a bunch of turnovers and 3. The other team only had 1 turnover, and that's kind of, it's going to cost you pretty much every game. But again, like I said, we have 13 teams in this division. I'm excited to see how this one shakes out. If we look at the playoffs here, it's going to be the top 8 teams, no bye. So out of these 13 teams, there's going to be 5 on the outside looking in when it's all said and done. Who will those teams be? We're going to have to wait and see and find out, right? But again, this should be an exciting division. Looking at co-ed 3 here. So co-ed 3, again, like I said, we're going from 20 teams in the winter down to 9. So you have, looking at it here, Back That Pass Up. So I believe Back That Pass Up is dropping down a division, as is Michael Scott's toss. So 2 veteran teams there. You have the Woos, who are now in this division. Fatties, I believe, are staying where they were. Lemoyne Moo, Lyselmon Le Flag. That's pretty. I like that name. That's pretty creative. You got Flag Me Daddy. It's a pretty solid name as well. You got Phantom Troop, and you got All Day Every Day. And I was like, all right, I like some of those team names here. Michael Scott's Tots. Obviously, if you're a fan of The Office, that's solid in and of itself. Kenny Batulia and the boys. I believe I had a chance to see them. I believe this is the team I watched. Yeah, they were playing against, yeah, it was Saturday. Yeah, Saturday at Connu. I was there. I wasn't scorekeeping that game, but they were on the field next to me. I saw them take on Flagging Me Daddy, and Michael Scott's Toss got the 34-25 win. So again, yeah, co-ed 1, co-ed 2, co-ed 3, and now co-ed 4, right? It's an exciting time here in FPF. I expect a lot of good things out of this division. Co-ed 3, it's going to be the top 6 teams make the playoffs. Seed 1 and seed 2 get a first round bye. So it's top 6 teams in the division make the dance. So there's going to be 3 teams on the outside looking in. Again, who will that be? We're going to have to wait and see. Finally, let's hit up the 5v5, right? So the intermediate. Again, looking at the standings right here, we have 8 teams at 5v5. Mighty Schmucks, welcome back to the Junkyard Dogs. We got the Void, Flag Avengers, who won the championship in the winter season. Coconut Gang, Poseidon's Kiss now making a jump. They were in Division 2, Division B, pardon me, last summer. Now they're in 5v5. You got Only Flags. I believe they made the finals actually recently. And then you have Team YS. So it's like, I'm looking at Team YS. It's like, who's on this team? Who do I know? So I'm like, okay, they got Zach Deschamps, Kareem Maji again. So Kareem, I gotta say, is one of the underrated players. I barely ever hear this guy talk, but he's underrated. Got my main man Jerry Vincent or Vincent. He's on his team. Reginald Prophet is on his team as well. Stefano De Seta. So a lot of familiar names here in FPF. I hope they can stack some wins together. And Nick as well, Nick Pierre Mash, right? So they have some good teams, good players on the squad. They're 0-2 though right now, right? They started off the season not exactly how they wanted to. They have a tough 45-32 loss to Coconut Gang, and then they got smoked 29-6 by the Mighty Schmucks on opening weekend. So they're back in action on this coming Saturday against Only Flags. So I expect that to be a high scoring game. Only Flags, from watching them in the finals, right? They have an explosive offense. I don't think anybody had a better finals weekend than Hubert Noel. This guy, I hadn't really heard of him before. I know he helped Flag Avengers win a championship in 5v5 intermediate, but he played again, like I said, for Only Flags here. And I remember going into that game. I do my research because I have to, right? I don't want to start calling a game and not know anything. But I remember watching this guy and I was like, hey, he's pretty good. I was like, who's this kid? And as I started looking and as I started breaking down the stats a little bit, and I was like, all right, this dude is balling. This dude can play. And he kept on making play after play after play. And I was like, made a couple touchdowns, had an INT. And I was like, I came away thinking, yeah, this kid can ball. This kid can definitely ball. I know they fell. No, actually, no, they beat Blues Crews. Actually, my apologies. They beat Blues Crews 41-24 for the Division 6A championship. So again, Hubert Noel, this is a name to keep an eye on. This kid can ball. I'm excited to see what he can do this season. If Hubert, if you want to sub with my team, Division C, please let me know. Yeah. So anyways, so he's an exciting player. I'm excited to see what happens with Team YS and the rest of this division. And before we go here, so let's go over to the competitive division here in 5v5. So again, 8 teams in intermediate, and 5v5 competitive, we have 5 teams. So a lot of the usual suspects. So you got Flagmont Lesac, Raw Dogs, of course, Jeff Rosenblatt's team. You got the infantry. So I believe Kevin Wyeth is a quarterback. They're 1-1 right now. And no, it's not Kevin Wyeth. So yeah, Kevin Wyeth's not playing at all, actually. Yes, it's gonna be Dan Lazare. I remember Dan Lazare was talking to me, so it's kind of a combination now. So Dan Lazare, who usually leads Montreal Magic, is on his team right now. So he's the quarterback. So you got Dan, you got Serge Pilon Jr., Rory, Ethan Adrian, Bakari Barrett, Carl Aki, former Laval defender. You got Rakendi Joseph, solid player. Charles Olivier Vachon, underrated. Isaiah Lardon, who usually plays with Dan, and Kwesi Gordon Mall, that quitter who's not here tonight. He's listed on the team, so we'll have to see if he ends up playing. But I know usually he plays with Raw Dogs. We'll have to wait and see what's up with that. And of course, we got the Braves, who are already 1-0. The Braves starting off the campaign with a 26-6 win, a beatdown over the Raw Dogs. And then we had the Party Crashers. So Party Crashers are also 1-0. They knocked off the Infantry 33-26 last Friday in Laval. So the Party Crashers, I wanted to talk about them briefly. I mentioned it earlier, right? They lost the Division 1 championship to the Braves, and they lost the 5v5 competitive championship to the Braves. Now, the 5v5 competitive game, if you saw it, it was a blowout. I believe the final score is 42-6 or something like that. That was a blowout. The Division 1 game, part of me, was not a blowout. It was a close game. Party Crashers had that game. They were killing the Braves with the deep ball. They were killing the Braves with the short passing, right? Like Szalipszki, again, there's nobody in FPF like him. He's throwing across his body off back foot and throwing dimes to receivers, and they're all making plays. They were causing the defenders, specifically Daniel Chevalier, to get at least 2 PI calls against him, which you almost never see. And it looked like they'd be able to pull it out. And then I know the Braves were down by 12. They scored a touchdown. They went for an onside play. It was incomplete, and Frankie Hogue was called offside. I don't know where the offside came from. I watched him before the snap. He was not offside, but it is what it is. Referees make mistakes. They're human. It happens. But then, so the Braves got the first down, and they still marched down the field and scored a touchdown and got the 1-point convo, and they won the game. So Party Crashers had a chance to make a stop. Even after all that, they couldn't do it. I had a chance to talk to Frankie Hogue after the game, and he couldn't believe the offside call, but then he did finish that off by saying we still had a chance to make a stop and we didn't. So he took the onus on him and his defense. But just the question, of course, is why I'm bringing up the Party Crashers is how do you bounce back from such a heartbreaking loss like that? That's just, it's like a kick in the mouth. It's just a punch in the gut. It's brutal. So we're going to have to see again. They're 1-0 on the season again. A ton of great athletes on this team. Frankie Hogue's on this team. Medley Joseph, I think, listen, if you don't know Medley Joseph, you should know him after the performance. Him and Mendel Joseph as well. Mendel Joseph just had a phenomenal game. He was shutting down Jeremy Murphy, right? Again, former CFL player. Didn't do too much in that game. Mendel Joseph is the truth. Jean-Z Alexi as well. Fritz Senatus, Emerson Peterkin, Jordanson Alexi, Red Jean Giraud, formerly of U of M. Now Gucci's on his team. And of course, Mamadi Kaba, right? Again, solid player on the team as well. I believe he's a CFL player as well, right? So they have the length, they got the speed, they got the chemistry, the timing. They just have to get over that hump and knock off the Braves when it matters most. Can they do it? Well, we'll find out come playoff time. So finally, before I say goodbye here, one thing I like to do, right? I like to look at some of the team names, especially at the beginning of the season. There's always new teams, or sometimes current teams or older teams switch names, right? Like we saw again with the merge, the new merge, if you will. They should actually call themselves the new merge, but it is what it is. I don't think Marc-Andre Rees and the rest of his crew have gotten word of it, but now if they watch this podcast, I'm sure they will. They may have something to say to the merge in the women's division and Division 2, but we'll have to wait and see. So I was just making a little note to myself, and I was like, okay, let's see some of these names here, because it's always entertaining to see some of the names here in FPF, no matter what the division. So I'm gonna, some of the names I wrote down to myself. I'm like, okay, some of the best names I've seen. Run Like a Girl, talked about that earlier. I think that's a phenomenal name. All Day, Every Day. I mean, that's kind of generic, but it is what it is. I mean, it's still decent. Fly Me Daddy, it's a good one. I like that. Ben Precons, obviously, with Ben McMahon being on the team. That name pretty much speaks for itself. That's pretty funny. I like that one. And Co-Ed 2. So yeah, Fly Me Daddy, Co-Ed 3, All Day, Every Day, Co-Ed 3, Run Like a Girl. In the women's division, I believe it's women's 2. Let's go back and check here. So you got the originals, like I said, in women's B, which is great to see. Vodka Red Bull. Now, in my younger days, I was a vodka fan. I mixed that with, I like a screwdriver, to be honest, but I don't mind vodka cranberry. But obviously, when everyone's doing that, yeah, put the vodka with the Red Bull is good stuff. Yeah, it wasn't bad. I didn't mind it. I'm not a vodka guy anymore. More of a bourbon guy. I like bourbon a lot, and rum. I mean, I'm Asian, so I'm a rum guy for sure. And I won't say no to beer, but yeah, bourbon, rum, and beer for me. Vodka, I mean, I can't even say if it's there, I'll drink it, because that's not the case. Actually, I won't drink it at all. But you know, when you get to my age, when you've had a lot of drinking and fun and adventures and that, and you're gonna get tired of. Some people say no to tequila. I say no to vodka. Vic's Doghouse. That's I get the what it's referring to is horrible, but the name is pretty funny. I kind of like it. The name is creative. I'll give it that. So yeah, those are some of the best names that stood out to me here so far early in the season. Some of the worst names that I've seen. Now, I wrote on the top of my list, somebody jacked the merge of their names. So obviously, we talked about it already with that mess between Turf Titans and She Sparks for women's too. So the merge, the new merge, if you will, that's the worst name in my book, because you got to look around the league. You can't be lazy. You got to look around and make sure no one else has your team name, because otherwise, what's the point, right? Is there going to be another Sub-Zero 2 or Cayenne 2 or I don't know, the other infantry? No, ladies, you got to do your homework. You got to look. Le Moy Mu. So I looked it up and I was like, that means the least soft. They're in co-ed 3. And I was like, the least soft. I mean, playing football, you shouldn't be soft. I mean, I understand the play on words here, but I mean, the least soft. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan of that one. The most, I had it on my worst team name. You know, I'll get to that in a second. Most in import who are in Division E2. So most in import, you guys are all better all be drinking Molson. I think Molson's a horrible beer. Although I do like Coors. I do like Coors Light. I like my light beers. Yeah, I'm fancy. So obviously Coors is made by Molson, or kind of the other way around. They're intertwined, whatever. At least here in Canada. But Molson Import, I think, is a horrible beer. It's up there with Molson X. It's beers that I think are hot garbage, and I do love my beer. So I mean, I'm biased. I want to say Molson Import is just a horrible name because I think the beer is disgusting. Go Habs go. So we're filming this on a Thursday. The Habs definitely could have used this team's help last night as it got smoked 4-0 by the Hurricanes. I did say Carolina in 7. I meant to say 6 when I'm in a pool with some friends from work, and I said 6, and then I changed it to 7 because I'm an idiot. And I'm like, all right, the Canadians have been going to 7 each time. I also don't have that much faith in the Hurricanes. They usually choke in the playoffs, although this might be the year they make it at least to the finals. It appears to be, at least right now. They're up 3-1 on the Habs. But go Habs go. I mean, come on. All y'all can do better than that. It's not a hockey league. It's creative, I guess, but it's not a hockey league. I think it's something better than that. I mean, if you guys are all Habs fans, I mean, I guess that's okay, but still. And a name, again, I had it on the worst name list, but I'm going to put now to most creative is Enter Team Name Here. Yes, the team's name is Enter Team Name Here. I hope that is the name of the team. I hope it's not to say this team didn't put their name or logo on the FPF site when they registered. Enter team name here in Division E2. That is my most creative team name. I like that a lot. I had a laugh to myself last night as I was prepping, and I looked at that. I think it's pretty cool. So anyways, that's gonna do it for this week's episode. Shout out to Alex Szalipszki again for coming on. I really appreciate him taking the time out of his schedule. Good luck to him in his game tonight. Thank you to Ali Reza, who I know who wanted to kill me and Kwesi. Kwesi had a work thing. I had a work thing before we were supposed to start at 6:30. We didn't start until about 6:40. I know Ali Reza was losing his mind. Thank you to Ali Reza as always for your patience and for everything that you do. We appreciate you, sir. And okay, he says he wants to kill Kwesi. I think it's because I'm here right now, but I'm sure if it was Kwesi, he'd say, I want to kill Brent. I can't stand him. Anyways, and of course, thank you guys at home for tuning in. We wouldn't be here without you guys. Hopefully you guys liked it. And again, let us know about this new format. Ali Reza, how long has this episode been going on? I don't see the timer. 1 hour and 16 minutes. That's fine by me. Less than 90. I personally think this is maybe the way we should trend, at least, maybe not the entire season, but at least some of it. Again, make it short and sweet and more compact and full of information. I understand for you guys to do like the longer format and the 2 episodes and then going over each, ideally trying to go over each single, recapping every game and then previewing upcoming games. We're going to do a little bit of that, but we want to try to make it a little shorter. It's summer, right? Or summer's around the corner. It's going to be nice outside, not so much now, but I mean in general it's going to be nicer. We want to get outside, right? It's the summertime. It's tons of stuff to do. We have games outdoors. There's tons of other distractions in the summer, vacations, jazz fest, just for laughs, tons of stuff going on, right? We want to get outside and just enjoy it. So the idea is to try to make the episodes just a little bit shorter, but keep it more action-packed. And again, we want to get more guests on the show. So today, Alex Szalipszki was our first one. Again, we want to get more of you on the show. Male, female, whoever, whatever division, whatever team you're on, doesn't matter. It could be Division F, could be Division A, Co-ed 1, women's 3, Co-ed 4, doesn't matter. You want to come on the show, talk some ball, chop it up, you're more than welcome to come on the show. Again, get at us, hit us up on the Facebook page or on Instagram. You can message Ali Reza, you can message any one of us, let us know. We check, so feel free to come on the show. And again, that'll do it for this week. Week 1 is in the books. Week 2 is starting pretty much tonight. So good luck to all the teams in their games tonight and going forward this weekend. I'll be scorekeeping this Saturday at Con U. So if you want to come over, say hi. And again, you want to come over and tell me you want to come on the show, feel free to do so. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week. This has been the first episode of the spring season 2026 of FlagPlus Football's First and Goal podcast. I'm Brent. Have a good one. Deuces. Let's go Knicks, by the way. Let's go Knicks.